Of progress that is being made as far as trying to get people to be more involved in that courthouse that would produce revenue so that we would be able to meet certain criteria for different types of grants versus the types of grants that you may qualify for should it not be income producing. The next one, I'm going to briefly mention this, and I declined to do it. I was approached by a couple of people, and they asked me, said, Dan, says, I think it would be a good idea if you would bring 150 or 200 students from the middle school and from the high school to the meeting and let the commissioners get the feel of the attitude of these young people. These young people are our children, our grandchildren, the future of this county and part of the future of the United States that we live in. And the comment was made and said, but then if you ask these students, would they rather go to the courthouse after the funds are spent to go visit it, or would they rather go to Nag's Head for half a day, or would they rather go to King's Dominion or Busch Garden? And the feedback they gave me that they felt as though 85 or 90% of these students would choose the ones other than the courthouse. They'd rather go to the beach, they'd rather go to half a day to Busch Gardens or some entertainment center. And then the next thing come up that was said, Dan, do you really know who is going to be paying for this? It says it's those same students that's going to be paid for. It says because the majority of us that are commissioners making decisions, people like myself that are somewhat vocal at times, and other citizens of the county that are now taxpayers are going to meet our demise doing this 30-year loan, if that's how long it's for. And that 30-year loan, these 12 and 15, 18-year-old people are going to be the ones that's going to have to pick up the tab. Now, I know that this has been going on in history over and over, but I think they have a point. And the last point they mentioned in that is, but these young people have no say, but you are obligating their pocketbook of the future. Now, I think there's some truth to that. So the next question is the status of the sewage system. How we're coming along on that. Another question is a statement, excuse me, is that I saw something in the newspaper that I thought was very entertaining and worthwhile and checking into a whole lot further. I myself have a lot of experience as far as dealing with gas companies. And I feel as though that if the county is not on natural gas, they should be. It's the cheapest type of energy that's available. Now, yes, there is some expense you have to go through to convert from oil to gas, but there's a payback to it. If your local provider will tell you that natural gas is, say, $1.40, you can get it a lot cheaper than that, and I did so. Because I did what was called hedging the market, got in contact with a provider in Plaquemines in Louisiana, bought the gas there, paid for it by the month. Told them how many cubic feet I wanted for the yield, and I paid for it by the month. pay Transco a fee to transfer to a high school. Right at that bottom money in. Then pay North Carolina Natural Gas a transfer fee to transfer to the plant which I work, which saves $60,000 to $90,000 a month. Now that adds up to quite a sum in just a 1 year period of time. They're realizing that you don't use that much in volume, but if you make a $100,000 investment and you save $40,000 or $50,000 a year, that is a good return on your money. You not only do you recoup your investment over a period of just a short period of time, 3 or 4 years, then you recognize the profit. And I'm quite sure there's people on the board that can do the math on that. So I would like to see that looked into deeper and see what progress can be made on that to, again, save money like you people have voted on for a couple of times in the last 4 or 5 months. And the next thing is the status of what's going on with the progress of the zoning. I heard a comment made, or innuendo made at the last meeting, and I kept my mouth shut. We're interested in the homes that the people have got. Are we really interested in the homes people got when we allow a person, and I'm going to be throwed in the windows at, and I want to see phone calls on this. I got a neighbor that has got land that's agriculture. That neighbor can put a hog pen right up there, and that odor can go for 3 or 4 miles either way, affecting the residential home. But there's a way to cap that. You can cap that odor by having stacks and etc., emission stacks that odor has to go through. Union Camp had to have it, we had to have it. Almost any industry got to have it. Quite sure if a farmer has to put that on, that they can have a write-off on their taxes for it. Don't know for sure, just an opinion, because it comes under an expense. So, just to say that we want to protect the residential homeowner, we need to do some more studying other than just make a comment. Now, the next thing is, have we at any time up to this point sent any letters like was suggested in the earlier times on the library, some 6, 8, 12 months ago, about sending some either current county people that have means and those that have left the county and done very well in professional football and in the movie industry and such stuff as this, to see if they want to donate a sizable donation towards that library. Some furniture is going to have to be bought for that library, I understand. And if a sizable donation is done, then it looks like it could possibly be named after that person. They do it in other cities. Or if they donate a lesser amount, but it's still somewhat sizable, you name a room after it. Has any of this been done? That's the end of my statement at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I want to ask a few of these things while he's standing here. Let's talk about the referendum.
Sure. I'll take a stab at it. I think the first answer is you would have to have Clearscape's finish their assessment first to determine.
I'm sorry, I can't hardly hear you. I'm losing my hearing.
Okay. I think before you get into the referendum, you need to figure out how much money you're going to spend first.
Okay.
Because you can't ask the citizens whether they will be willing to support a referendum for a blank number of dollars. You would have to be able to fill in that blank first. So to get there, you would have to let Clearscapes finish their assessment. And I think at the last meeting we discussed that they have been on the ground, but I haven't seen the assessment yet, so I'm going with it's not complete yet. So that will be the answer to number 1 and 2.
Well, I would agree to that, but, most operations come up with a approximated fee. Because things change as you go through
Right.
in the process.
Right, but again,
All right, so
you can't
if you're talking
approximate.
about
Dan, you wanna answer, or you wanna answer?
I mean, I'll finish if you let me.
If you wanna finish, we'll.
well, I'm trying to continue to get the answer, a part of an answer, because the only thing is part answer.
Well, let us give you the answer we got, and then we'll go from there.
Go from there.
Okay, and can I get the answer, or just part?
Well, if you'll let me finish, I'll do all the answering I have, and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
I don't think it's a valid exercise to use an approximated number when you have, no one in this room has any concept of what that number is.
Okay,
You know, to do a referendum or to prepare a referendum when the estimate could be off by $1 million or $2 million in a $5 million project seems to me to be a little premature.
Okay.
The more logical step seems to me to be allow Clearscapes to finish their job, get to what can reasonably be believed to be a hard number, and then begin your referendum process. That seems to be infinitely more logical. Does that answer the question completely?
not entirely.
Okay, what else you got?
And the reason I say this is because I heard you use a number of a 1 million or 3 million up to 5 million. I've heard those numbers thrown out. Well, it gives me a feeling that we're using things to hold back a little bit at a time to keep from having that voter referendum. So it won't be on the thing in November.
It's not within there.
Yeah, I can tell you, you're
There's
not
no way
receiving
it could be
them.
there. It could
Well,
be there
if
if we
we'd been
started
proactive and worked on it quick enough, it could have been on there according to
Yeah.
intelligence that I received.
Well, the intelligence you received is wrong.
We did check on that. That was not impossible, because legislation, that has to be approved by legislation. They weren't even in session, and they hadn't got back to session yet. They're not gonna approve anything till after the election.
It won't be back in session until January.
But the bottom line is, we're still planning on having a voter referendum, is that not?
Well, I'll let the five of them speak to what they plan
Well,
on
the
voting on.
commission did make, the majority of them made a comment about that.
I'm sure that's what they're saying, but at this point in time, you can't have a
Now,
referendum.
thank you for that one, let's go to the next one.
The next is the sewer system. Phase 1 is finishing up. It still has to be tested by our engineers and certified by DENR before it can be turned on. So that's where you are on the sewer system. The next one is gas. Look into it deeper. I couldn't begin to comment on that one.
I'll take that one. And then, I've done quite a bit, and obviously you read the article, that's where this came from. And I've been talking to Dr. Williams, been in contact with Ms. Lauren Hill, which is the replacement for the guy that we actually talked to last summer. Tommy, I can't remember his last name, but it was Lauren Hill's there. So my tactic was I've calculated the return on the natural gas to our school system. I've been to the school system and talked to them and made a little talk about that and what this amounts to based on the last 2 years of usage, and didn't really take it from a BTU type standpoint of course you can calculate it that way and tells you the optimum point, but I actually went back and took all of the invoices that the school, all the schools, all their energy uses for the last 2 years, converted that back to natural gas, which is a standardized formula that everybody uses, even Piedmont Gas, in the proposal that I got back from Lauren Hill. That would save Gates County, based on the last 2 years, $35,000 of fuel savings. It will cost approximately